people, how are you? I hope it's everything okay to everyone. We are speaking about Farroupilha's movement. This was a movement with separatist character. It happened in Brazil, Rio Grande do Sul, from 1835 until 1845. The Brazil in this era was with lots of movement like this, separatist movement. Uh, but this Farroupilha's movement was with more time to finish. Now I'm showing you the Quitandinhas Palace. Quitandinhas Palace is in Petrópolis, Rio de Janeiro. It's a city from Rio de Janeiro. In front of the Quitandinhas Palace there is a lake, a famous lake. This lake have contours of the Brazilian map. It's a symbol. Brazilians don't know about it. It's a symbol of all this fight from Brazilian Empire. We had a king in this epoch. And 1835, Dom Pedro II, he had about 10 years old. He couldn't have a king because he didn't have enough age for this. It has brought lots of movement like this. But the Farroupilha's movement was the movement that had more time to finish. I only see some movements with a separatist character happened in Brazil during this era when Dom Pedro II couldn't be a king because of his age. It happened in Pará. We can hear in the map of Brazil, circled in blue. In Pará happened a movement called the cabanagem. In Maranhão happened a movement, a separatist movement called balaiada. In Bahia, there happened the movement called sabinada. And Bahia had another movement called malês, and movement of farrapos. It's the farroupilha, it's the same thing. All of this happened in Brazil because Dom Pedro II could be a king because of his age. The government of Brazil in this era had to make an adulthood scan. Adulthood scan was a movement from government to make Dom Pedro II become a king before he had 18 years. Pay attention. Some books say about 15 years. In reality, was 15 years incomplete. He was a king with 14 years to solve all these movements, separatist movements against Brazil, and he solved it. I'm sorry. When it's necessary explain there, when Dom Pedro II's father, Dom Pedro I, has left Brazil, Dom Pedro II was only 5 years. 5 years. You can see here in the picture, in the photo, Dom Pedro II with his acclamation in Paço Imperial, the center of the Rio de Janeiro. Here, we can see here, the people receiving his new king. People in this era, it's already loved him, loved the new king of Brazil. You can see some party here in Paço Imperial, center of Rio de Janeiro. Since 5 years, Dom Pedro II, he was studying so as to become a king with 18. There's all preparation to be a boss of a country. I'm sorry. Nowadays, when you see government as Tiririca, for example, there is another case like this. Unfortunately, nothing against his work as a crown. Nothing against this. He would be a crown, but he would have enough study for you too, for this too. Unfortunately, you can see the Tiririca's life. I'm sorry about information, study, preparing himself for to be a government. He hasn't the minimum preparation for this. I'm sorry, but with this, we can conclude there. Unfortunately, Brazilian people isn't a serious people. Isn't a serious people. Unfortunately, for who had a king like Dom Pedro II, and later of this, a lot of years later, you have a government like Tiririca. You can see that, unfortunately, Brazilian people changed. Changed for the worst thing you can imagine, sorry. But it's the truth. The logical brings for you this reality. It's necessary to understand some context that has brought some movement like to Farroupilha. As we've already seen, our king didn't have enough age. But another fact was the shark. Shark is a kind of product from Rio Grande do Sul. It's a kind of meat. This meat had a bill from government expensive than the other countries. For example, for Rio Grande do Sul sell this product, Rio Grande do Sul had to pay an expensive bill for government, expensive than the same product in Uruguay. Uruguay export this to Brazil, this product, cheaper than Rio Grande do Sul sell to government. It was necessary to make something. The Farroupilha's movement was necessary, but it was for farmer. It wasn't for people like everyone say in school for child. No, it was a movement from the owner of the product, the farmer. Another information important, not important detail, is that this farmer they sent for this war his slavers, the black slavers went to this war too to help the Farroupilha's movement. But it's necessary to say that these black slavers they had ability with horses and spears. They've done the special group called LANCEIROS NEGROS. The LANCEIROS NEGROS was a special group from black slavers organized by these black slavers to help Farroupilha movement in battles against imperial troops. As we've already said, there was another movement, separatist movements around Brazil. What it has made the work with our king, with the Farroupilhas, difficult work. Our king worked with Farroupilhas. So Farroupilhas won some battles against imperial troops. For example, it happened in Porto Alegre. Farroupilhas won some battles against imperial troops. It had some letters as Joseph Garibaldi. Joseph Garibaldi was one leader of the Farroupilha's movement. Other leader was Davi Canabarro, and other leader was Bento Gonçalves. Joseph Garibaldi, in special, he went to another city of Brazil, Santa Catarina. Santa Catarina. We can see another map here about the Rio Grande do Sul. Santa Catarina, Paraná, and Rio Grande do Sul. This is for all area from Farroupilha's movement. So the barrel in Porto Alegre, it was in Rio Grande do Sul. Joseph Garibaldi was a leader against the imperial troops in Santa Catarina. He won the battle in Santa Catarina. It was born the Juliana Republic. Santa Catarina has changed his name for Republic Juliana. In Portuguese we can say there República de Juliana, né? But it didn't have a force. It didn't have a force to continue. It wasn't only you won a battle. Né? It is necessary in other things like money. As money is necessary for everything, for war, for guns, and etc. And money and organization. This Julian Republic didn't have a force. It has finished. But it's very interesting. The Julian Republic there is including a new flag. It's very interesting when you know, when you study about the histories. For about 1840, we had a king. 1840, we had a king. Although he had only 14 years, it happened, we had a king. It had some battles from Farroupilhas against the imperial troops. But as we've already said, it's necessary money to keep a war. Without money, you do nothing. So there is an ugly side about Farroupilha's movement. To keep a war, the Farroupilha's movement has sold black slaves. We've said about black slaves from farm. They've done the LANCEIROS NEGROS. It was an important group by the black slaves to help Farroupilha's group in war against the imperial troops. But the ugly side about Farroupilha's movement is to keep war. They've sold the black slaves to Uruguay. It's very serious what I say. What I say, I know it's very serious. Because of this, I will include the bibliographic reference in this content we are making here. It's very ugly, it's very sad, it's very serious, but it's true. The truth of our history to try to building a better world is necessary to say. I'm sorry, but I will put this content here. For about 1843, although this commerce of slaves from Farroupilha's movement, our king was about 18 years. 18 years, our king. The Farroupilha's movement has begun to desist idea about separatism movement. The king has sent to Rio Grande do Sul Duque de Caxias. Duque de Caxias is a patron of Brazilian army, patron of the Brazilian army, to negotiate the honorable withdrawal. In Portuguese, it means desistência honrosa from Farroupilha's movement. There is in Rio de Janeiro now a tourist information now. there's the Pantheon of Caxias. The Pantheon of Caxias. It's in front of the headquarters in center of Rio de Janeiro. You find the Pantheon of Caxias, where you can see about him history and see the tomb of Caxias and his wife in center of Rio de Janeiro. Do you remember I've said about the war in Porto Alegre? Okay, the Farroupilha movement has declared the Republic of Rio Grande do Sul, and the first president was Bento Gonçalves. When Duque de Caxias arrived, later negotiated an honorable withdrawal, essa desistência honrosa, with Farroupilha's movement. Duque de Caxias, who was born in São Paulo's farm, where today is Duque de Caxias City, in Rio de Janeiro. Duque de Caxias has become the second president of República of Rio Grandense until the idea of separatism finished completely. Do you remember when I said about black rope, and special black rope in Portuguese, Lanceiros Negros, that fight by side of Farroupilha's movement? Black slaves that had ability with horses and spears. They have fight with Farroupilha's movement dreaming for freedom. They were slaves. The movement was in the end of this movement. It happened about 1844. They have had a hope to receive freedom, but it did not happen. Didn't happen. They were summoned by David Canabarro to a meeting at camping without spear and horses. They thought they were receiving freedom. To resume that you must imagine, they were attracted to ambush. They were attracted to an ambush where they had to fight against imperial troops without chance. This famous photo can resume this regrettable event. The regrettable event is knowledge as Massacre of the Porongos or betrayal of the Porongos. So we can resume the Farroupilha's movement, commemorated on September 20, is not what is taught at school. The gaucho with hat and horse, that era, there wasn't that era. It's a lie. You can see some books as Chronicles of the Gaúcho foot, Crônicas do gaúcho a pé, in Portuguese. In reality, it was a simple man who worked in farm as common worker without horse. All the things I've said in this video is in the comments in YouTube. Exactly in the comments have all the bibliographic reference about all the things I've said in this video. In my site, I divide the site in two sides. In the left, you have a little size of the video, and in the right, I have the comments about this video. In this comment, I include the bibliographic reference. If you go to Rio de Janeiro, not forget to visit Quitandinha Palace. It's in Petrópolis, another city inside Rio de Janeiro, Petrópolis. But not forget to visit the Pantheon of Caxias. This is in the center of Rio de Janeiro, the Pantheon of Caxias. In the Paço Imperial, where Dom Pedro II received the people with only 5 years old. His father went to Portugal and has left him alone, alone with 5 years old, to be a king of all these people. He received the people in the second floor of Paço Imperial. It's very funny because he was with only 5 years. They put the king inside the chair, inside the chair, inside in the window, exactly in the second floor. Yeah, you be in front of Paço Imperial. You see a door with windows in second floor, and exactly in that position was Dom Pedro II's speaking hello to his people in the second floor of Paço Imperial. It's an interesting trip. You understand all things, all history about lots of fights from our king with 14 years until his 20 years, we can say this, 18 years. Since his 14 years until his 18 years to keep the unit of Brazil. The lake in front of Quitandinho Palace is very interesting for you to understand how much was important all this fight to keep Brazil united, to preserve, to keep the unit of Brazil. All content that unfortunately Brazilian people don't know. I hope so you enjoyed the city.